what I want to say is, when I went to hug you, what did you tell me?
I was all sweaty because I ran here because I ran late.
And he got here before some of y'all who have a car.
I ran a mile.
Oh, shit.
That's the energy. He's giving his energy to RNL to get here on time, and his respect for Eric and I, and for y'all, his teammates. When you're walking in that door 30 seconds or 15 minutes late, because I'm going to call you out because I'm that mom. Because I do this to my kids, so don't think I don't. My son's always like, golly, Mom. I'm like, well, this is the truth. You're not giving us the same energy that we are giving you. We are here early. Eric's putting on the music. We're putting forth effort to listen to things and to seek out information to come and give to you. I'm not here to help you sell a car better. That's his job. I'm here to help you understand how to be a better human. Because if you're a better human, you're going to be a better coworker. You're going to be a better salesperson because you're going to be able to do these things and apply these principles that he's just talking about. One thing that struck me about the interactions with the customers and being patient with them and showing grace was that this is your home, right, as far as work goes. You invited those people here, and then you bring them here, and then you treat them crappy because we judged them. That's a human nature thing to do. But we have invited them into our home. Who invites people into their home and then just kicks them in the crotch? I mean, right? Think about it that way. We have invited these people here, right? So anyway, that was a side note. But I am going to every single Friday until you people start showing up, 5 to 10 minutes. Yes, you people, because I'm here on time. There were other people here early. Jose is here. He beat us here today because he cares about the quality of his work. He wants to be here. He wants to be ready. He's putting energy, the same energy into us that we're trying to give, right? It's an energy exchange. It's all an energy exchange, whether it is in the form of money or attitude. It's all an energy exchange. Okay. That was a side note. So I wanted to talk, still on the self-mastery program here, because you can't master a task if you don't master yourself, right? You can't master doing your sit-ups. What was your commitment? About 50 sit-ups and push-ups? You can't master that unless you master the snooze button and get up 10 minutes earlier, or maybe you just have to go to bed 30 minutes earlier so that you can get right until you master it. That's mastering yourself. And you can't successfully do your goals that you guys all set for yourselves if you're not working on mastering your own self, right? That's what those little goals are. And it creates a habit. It creates a little tiny, look, Jonathan taking a vitamin every day may seem small, right?
Vitamin.
Right, I said vitamin.
Okay.
Vitamin. Right, it may seem small, but that's okay, right? Because it's a brick that has to be put into a foundation.
He still hasn't had any energy drinks. He still hasn't had any of those.
How long?
Probably 2 months now.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm going to give a hand clap on that, brother, because I'm...
No, he hasn't cheated, none.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's crazy. That's bad for the heart.
It's bad for everything in your body. It's just bad. All right, so I wanted to read a few. I was listening to the other book I was listening to about mastery. I kind of lost interest in it, and I downloaded this book by Don Miguel Ruiz, and if you don't know who he is, he wrote the 4 Agreements also. He has a series of books. He's a Toltec. So Toltec is it's not a religion, it's more of a philosophy type thing. So Toltec people are an ancient group of Native Americans who came together in South and Central Mexico to study perception. And the word Toltec means artist. So these are people who came together many, 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 many years ago. I don't know if it's centuries, but it's been a long time. And so it's a philosophy and it's a study of perception and awareness. But some of the things that he talks about, so one of the things that he talks about, and I was struggling all week because I had been listening to this and then I listened to a Myron Golden and I'm like, these two things go together. And like, where's the, like, and then I woke up this morning and it was like, oh, it all made sense. And so I re-listened to the Myron Golden thing and I was like, there it is. And that happens to me a lot on Friday mornings. I'll listen to stuff all week because I know it's what I want to talk about. And then sometimes it doesn't really mesh completely until I'm driving to work on Friday morning. But anyway, so he talks about the, I don't know how you say it, a condition, I guess, of domestication. In Toltec, that's the terminology we use. There's other terminologies that you've heard before. So he describes domestication like this. The primary system of control in the dream of the planet, which the dream of the planet is basically you're in your dream, I'm in my dream, but we all have a collective dream. It's just a plane of existence, really, is what it's just, that's their terminology. Starting when we are very young, we are presented with either a reward or a punishment for adopting a belief or a behavior that others find acceptable. When we adopt these beliefs and behaviors as a result of either the reward or punishment, we can say that we have been domesticated. So, how many times have you told your kids if you'll get good grades, we'll go get ice cream? That's a form of domesticating your children because you are pushing them in a direction by giving them a reward. Also, we say, if your grades fall below this, you're going to get a punishment. We're domesticating our children like that. When you grow up and you don't eat all your food and your parents are like, oh my God, there's starving children in the world. You need to eat your food. Like, I always said, how does this help anybody if I eat this food? Like, I'm eating the food. It's not like I could send the food to the starving children if I don't eat it. Like, those were thoughts in my mind when I was a kid when people would say that. I'm like, how does this help anybody? It's not helping them get food. It's just making me eat more food. So all those things are domestication, right? Myron Golden talks about your lie-identity, right? So your lie-identity is all the things that people tell you when you're growing up. Well, why are you doing that? You're not old enough. You're not young enough. You're too this, you're too that. You're not tall enough. You can't play basketball. You're not tall enough. You can't play football. You're not big enough. Like whatever it is, right? You're not enough of this, or they might tell you you're too much of something, right? And then we start to hear those narrations in our head, and they get incorporated. And then, as we get older, we self-domesticate. You go to a restaurant, oh gosh, I need to eat all my food because I don't want to waste it, right? Well, that's something that your grandma taught you or your parents taught you or whatever it is. Like, oh my God, I have to get good grades or I'm not a worthy person, because that's what it'll translate into at some point. So we have to learn to move away from this domestication, this identity that other people tell us, and move into our authentic self. And there's a reason I played the song that I did right before the meeting started. And I'm going to read some of the words. It's called Do My Thing. And it says, I wear my clothes like this because I can. I wear my hair like this because I can. I walk around like this because I can. I do my thing because this is who I am, right? If you're expecting me to give you an apology for being nothing that you used to be, well, go ahead and wait. Hold your breath, concentrate, keep holding till your face turns blue, right? And then it says, my road ain't your road, but trust that I know where I'm going. My flow ain't your flow, but trust that I know I'm just how I'm flowing. I'm going to do my thing. Please feel free to hate and complain, because I'm going to do my thing. Say what you want, because this one ain't going to change. And then it says, I can't wear my clothes like you because I'm not. I can't walk around like you because I'm not. I can't do my thing like you because that just ain't hot. If you're expecting me to give you an apology for being nothing like you used to, go ahead and wait. Hold your breath and concentrate. Keep holding till your face turns blue. Again, my road ain't your road, but trust that I know where I'm going, right? That's someone who understands that they were domesticated and they were given an identity and they're not participating in it anymore. I grew up, and my mom tells me I came out of the womb this way. I grew up completely unable to be domesticated or believe in anyone's identity that they had for me. I grew up that way. I came out that way. I've been that way. I don't give a rat's ass what anybody thinks about me. If I did, I wouldn't stand up here and dance like an idiot every Friday morning. But that's me. Like, I do it in HEB. Like, if a good song comes on, I'll be dancing in HEB. Like, if I'm walking around a retail store and the song comes on, I'm like, that's me. That's who I am. I've always dressed the way I like, the way I makes me feel good. So, get out of the way to self-mastery is understanding that there's a narration going on in your head. And a lot of people have told you a lot of things, right? I'm about to be 58 in 2 weeks. Like, a lot of people have said a lot of things to me, including my mom, who I frustrated continually when I was a kid. But at the end of the day, she realized, like, God made me a certain way. I just need to stay in these lines. Don't get too crazy, and we're going to be okay. And so another thing that Myron Golden started talking about is that one of, I can't remember the guy's name, and I should have written it down. He was asked what the best piece of advice he'd ever given to anyone that he coached was, and he says AMB. So what is AMB? AMB means, oh Lord, always measure backwards. Right? You get to a point in your life, and sometimes you're at a point, like you set yourself a goal and you get there, and then you go, okay, well, I moved toward my goal, but maybe, say your goal is 90 days of doing something. Well, I did it for 75 days of that 90 days, so I failed. Well, what you're measuring is forward, right? And he talks about the gap and the gain. You're measuring the gap between the goal you set for yourself and where you ended up. You're measuring that gap and going, I failed. When really, you went 75% towards your goal, when most people would probably go 15% and then be like, I can't do it anymore, right? So always measure backwards. Stand where you are, look back and go, okay, I came this far. Did I go all the way? No, that's all right. Then now I'm going to set another goal, right? And then I'm going to move toward that goal. So measuring the gap is always measuring your failure. Okay? When you measure that gap, that I wanted to be here and I ended up here. And you're like, this is how far away I was. Well, that's measuring failure. It's good to be cognizant and be aware and be honest about how far away you were from your goal. But you have to turn around and go, okay, but I did gain. I did move myself forward, just not quite where I want to be, right? So, and I also had a note, just don't get complacent about your gain. Just go, and that goes along with the realistic measurement. That goes along with, you're like, woohoo, I made it here. Awesome. And then you don't set another goal. So you don't set yourself anywhere else to gain. And then you're always looking back and go, well, I was there, but now I'm here. Well, that's okay for a week. But what about next month, right? What about next year? If you get complacent in this little gain that you made, because gains are infinite in our life. Like, we can learn all the time, we can grow all the time. Like, it is something that happens until you die, right? So having a little bit of gain, a lot of people do that, and you go, but I'm so much better off than I was over here. I'm like way over here. Or you look back and you measure, you look at like my parents' life, right? I look at my parents' life. Well, I mean, we could have stayed in franchise and we had a great life, making lots of money. And so much better off than my parents, even than Eric's parents. Eric grew up in a different socioeconomic level than I did. We could have said, this is great, we have a great life. We got all the things that we need and got jobs and we're cruising along. But we didn't get complacent with our gain. We decided to set a new goal and see where we could get, right? So always measure backwards. In other words, celebrate your progress, like we did today. We celebrated Rick and Juanito's progress yesterday. They did some good things, right? We didn't measure, yeah, they sold the one car, but the other customer, they couldn't get them closed. We didn't measure that, right? And I think it's important in business not to go, we didn't close 4 people, we only closed 3 people and sold 3 cars. Okay, that's okay. Though you have to let those go. They have to fall away, and don't measure that gap, because then you're always going to be measuring your failure. And that is very debilitating mentally. All right, don't get complacent about your gain. Measuring the gap is always a measure of failure. Measuring the gain is a measure of success, right? So as Eric was talking, I also thought about, and this is something I said months ago, God created things that succeed, right? Everything he created succeeds. The sun rises every day, the rivers flow down to the sea, the salmon swim up the sea and do their thing, and then there's more salmon. You know, the wind blows in certain conditions, the oceans, the tide comes in and the tide goes out. Since creation. It does what it was created to do, right? A horse doesn't walk around trying to be a cow. And a pecan tree can't produce apples, right? So we have to get back to that authentic self. Everything, and I have said this for years to people, everything that you need to fulfill your purpose on this planet and to have an amazing life, you were born with it. Like an acorn, right? It grows into an oak. A pecan, like if you leave a pecan on the ground and it cracks open and it goes into the ground, a tree is going to sprout. And it's not going to be an apple tree. It's not going to be an oak tree. It's not going to be a vitex tree. Like, it's going to be what it was created to be. And everything that it needs is inside that seed. We were all created with what we need to succeed. It's just, it's like we all are these diamonds, right? And I talked about diamonds a few months ago. But to uncover that diamond, you have to start chipping away at all the bullshit that other people have put on you and you've accepted, right? Because at the end of the day, you have accepted that that is a reality and a truth, even when at some point you knew that it wasn't. But it got said to you enough that you're like, oh, well, it must be true. Listen, that's what the news does every day. They repeat the same thing over and over and over and over again, whether it's true or not, whether it's completely factual or it's a little bit factual. They repeat it over and over and over and over again until everyone goes, well, this person said it and that person said it and this news station said it and that newspaper said it, so, well, I guess it's true. And you never go back and find out if it's actually based in reality or not. So remember that you're this diamond in there. There's there's a diamond inside of you, and it's perfect and it's beautiful. But in order to reveal a diamond's true worth, right? What did we talk about months ago? That diamond has to be in the hands of a gem cutter, and they cut 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 until finally they get this beautiful thing. If you don't know how diamonds are made, you should Google it, because what they look like when they come out of the earth is like, you wouldn't think they were anything special. And then you see one that's been cut, like all these famous, the Hope Diamond, and you look at it and you go, holy crap, here's what it looked like. It was like milky and dusty and dirty and just this big chunk. And that's what was in it. But you have to remember too, that a lot of diamonds, they'll come out weighing 15, 20 pounds. And to get the real thing and to get the most exquisite thing out of it, it ends up being 2 pounds. That's a lot of crap that has to come off to get to the most beautiful thing that's inside there. So remember that. The concept of domestication is just simply believing the things that the people tell you, even when you know that they're not true. Our identity is given to us by other people. It is not who we were born as. It is not who God created us to be. It's what other people have thought that we should be. And remember that when people say things to you, oh, you can't do that. Oh, you shouldn't do that. That's their ideas and their fears speaking to you. It's not about they really think you shouldn't do it or couldn't do it. They're thinking in their mind, no, you can't do that. Like, that's not possible. That'd be too hard. That's going to be really hard. Don't do that. Don't do that. Right? And all they're going, and it happens in a split second, and people don't even a lot of times know that they're doing it. The other thing that Myron Golden talks about frequently is do not should on other people. Don't should on people. He loves to say that. And he says, shoulds are the main ingredient of frustration, which, right, weaves into the concept of attachment, right? The action of taking something that is not a part of you and making it part of you through an emotional or energetic investment. You can attach to external objects, beliefs, ideas, and even roles that you play in the world. How does that weave together? You should go to college. You should be a doctor. You should be a lawyer. You should, you talk all the time. You like to argue. You should be a lawyer. I used to tell my son that. It was a joke because he would never have been a good lawyer. But he liked to argue. So I'm like, maybe you should just grow up and be a lawyer. If you want to argue, you could get paid to do that. But you should go into the military. You should be a school teacher. No, because are you speaking to them something that God told you? No, you're speaking to them what you think that they need to do. You should run more. You should eat this. You should do that. Well, maybe not. So, and then we form attachment, right? And it's very hard as a business owner or a leader not to tell people, you should do this thing or you should do that thing, because that's what helped me. That's what helped Eric. I'm just up here presenting information. Hey, this is what helped me. You take away from it what you will. But when especially in relationships, you should be more this. You should spend more time at home. You should spend more time at work. You should, those are the main ingredient of frustrations, because we are wanting other people. We are trying to domesticate other people and bring them in line with what we want them to be, right? This was my mom's continual frustration for me. I was a wild animal when I was a kid. That one was too. Maybe that's why we're successful now. I don't know, because we're just two wild animals running around through the world trying to do shit, I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with it. So remember that not only do other people try to domesticate you, you probably try to domesticate other people too. So remembering that we have to Stop looking at people in the way we think they should be and start looking at them in the way they are, and making sure, because I think that's a frustration too in the car business. They should be listening to me. They should be wanting this deal. This is the greatest deal. They should. And then it creates frustration. Instead of realizing they're having their own thoughts, they're domesticated in their own way. Like, let's figure it out. Let's come together and figure it out. So learning not to should on people is very important. Not getting complacent about when you measure your gain. Stop measuring your gaps. Look at your gaps and go, okay, I didn't quite make it. But don't let everything be about what you didn't get done. Think about what you did get done and realize, oh, well, that wasn't that hard, so I can do more. Okay? So make sure that you're living in that space of gain, because if you stay there, then that gap between where you want to be and where you are is going to start getting bigger. So always measure backwards. All right. I think that's about all I've got for today. And the book that I'm working on now is The Mastery of Self. I'm listening to it on audiobook, but I also bought the paperback because I like to highlight things and then I can go back over and read it and write it. For me, it helps to write things down. I learn better when I write. I was like the best student in lecture class. I hated other classes. It was just look at the book and learn. Loved lecture. I would take notes, ace the test every time because I'm audible. I learn audibly, but I also learn by writing. And if I hear a concept and write it down, it sticks. So, all right, self-mastery. We're still on that journey. We're still learning more and more about it. You guys keep up your challenges. It's only 90 days. It's only 90 days. Keep up your challenges. Keep up the self, like, figure out if you're having trouble doing the thing that you said you were going to do every day. Figure out if your problem is happening the day before and you're not preparing properly for that day. Figure out if it's happening in the same day. Like, figure those things out. Troubleshoot it. If you're not doing it, don't measure the gap. Figure out why there was a gap. Like, oh, I forgot today. Why did I forget? Oh, I got out of my routine today, so I didn't get it done. So work on the gap and the gain. Work on measuring backwards. Hey, listen, as far as vitamins goes, this is one of the things, the way I measure. I have my vitamins. Eric just keeps his in the shelf and just takes them every morning. I have mine in a Sunday through Saturday little container, and they're all laid out for me because at the end of the week, I know what my progress was. Did I take and that may sound silly, but for me, it's really important to take my supplements. The doctor said, you need these. Your blood work says this, right? So it's very important. So I've got my little container, like an old lady, has to take my medication every day. Oh, what day is it? It's Wednesday. Okay. So I've got my container so that at the end of the week, I know. When it gets back to Sunday and I only have to put 3 days worth of vitamins back in my container, I didn't make it, right? I didn't make it where I need to be, right? So figure out a way to help yourself measure that's very tangible and not like, well, I think I did that yesterday. Did I? I'm not sure. So figure out a way to help yourselves measure this through these 90 days that's tangible. And if that is every day taking a picture, Jonathan, of your vitamin sitting there and sending it to the group, then that's what we need to do. So, all right, self-mastery, we're on the road.